Okay, I just started the recording. Just so y'all know. I gotta get my camera just right. There we go. Can you see everything okay, Emily? Okay, I'm gonna get a couple more things out and we'll start right at 9, okay? Oops.
Switch to gallery. Oh, online. Is that how Coco?
No. Hey, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
Happy Halloween.
Thanks. What? Halloween.
Thank you. I'm ready to eat a bunch of candy. How about you?
Yeah. Oh, and last night I opened up a coconut, but I don't really like the coconut juice homemade.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it doesn't really taste so well.
How did
But
you put some in the fridge?
Well.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. All right, we've got just a couple more minutes and we'll get started right at 9.
Stone cat.
Wait, I don't know if I wanted to do that. What does that mean? Participants. Okay, how did I do that?
My cat.
Oh, look at that.
Okay.
Is it a boy or a girl?
Name's Twinkie. It's a he.
A he. What's his name?
Twinkie.
That is the perfect
Twinkie.
name. That is perfect. He's so fluffy.
Yeah, and when he comes to you, he would actually push himself against you. He would push himself against you. It's funny.
Looking for some cuddling, huh?
Yeah.
All right, good morning.
Also, he's slash home cat and wild cat. Sometimes he goes in the wild, and sometimes me and Sas catch him eating stuff.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right, well, we're going to get started. My clock says 9 o'clock. How about y'all's? All right, so
Yep.
I see you, Jacob, and your microphone's off. So if you want to talk, you'll just have to, oh, there you go. You're good. And just a reminder, I'm recording and I'll send the recording out to everybody. Some of the people that were interested in taking the class couldn't be here on Saturday mornings. So it's so neat. They can just go back and watch the recording. So last week I had my 4-H t-shirt on, and this week I have on my AgriLife apron. And that's the agency that I work for. And Texas A&M AgriLife is the umbrella agency for 4-H. So this, of course, is one of my very favorite parts of my job. So, all right. So last week we talked about knife safety. And I noticed a couple of things going on in my house, and a couple of things that I even did that I wanted to go over that I didn't talk about last week. So one of them is when you have a knife out, and let's say you make a yummy peanut butter sandwich, or you've got some yummy Nutella or something, is after you make it, never lick the knife. Okay. And it's so tempting because peanut butter is delicious and jelly is delicious, but don't lick a knife. Okay. I don't want you to cut your tongue. It will be very painful, and it's very hard to both speak and eat if you have something wrong with your tongue. So don't get into that habit. Okay. The next thing is, I noticed when my kids were unloading our dishwasher, first of all, when you load the dishwasher, make sure that you put the knife in pointing down. Okay. That way, when you get ready to unload the dishwasher, you can pick it straight up and nobody's like going to accidentally grab the blade. Now, a lot of knives you don't put in the dishwasher because it makes them dull. But if you do throw yours in there, and sometimes it's like a steak knife or even a table knife, but just put them in blade down so that you can take them out, blade out so that you can take it out with the handle. Okay, does that make sense? Does everybody unload the dishwasher at their house?
I do.
Very good, very good. And remember, when there's lots of dirty dishes, that means you had lots of good food to eat. Isn't that nice? All right. The other thing, and this is something that I did this week, I had to carry a knife down the hall at my office. And when I was carrying it, I carried it just like this. So I'm going to go in real close. So there's the blade is on this side, but you carry it with the handle here, and you're carrying it. It's hard to see because, I don't have much room here, but it's down by my side. And I'm walking with it close to my leg, but the blade is pointing away from me. Okay. And that's how you walk with a knife. And sometimes it's just one of those necessary things. You could even, if you're in the kitchen and there's a couple other people in the kitchen and it's busy, just like you would say, hot pan coming through, you can say, I'm carrying a knife, and then everybody kind of knows. Okay. And I'm pretty sure that's what they would do in a busy restaurant kitchen. Okay. So just a couple of other tips I wanted to give y'all. And now we're going to get started, and we're going to talk first about measuring. And I've got a bunch of examples here. If you have them to do with us, that's great. Or you can watch and learn. And then we're going to make some yummy granola bars. And then we're going to play a little game at the very end. Okay. So we are going to start with measuring peanut butter. And peanut butter is a staple in our house. We eat it, of course, peanut butter sandwiches, peanut butter crackers. It's just a really good thing to have in the house because it's protein and it's really cheap. And it can sit in the pantry forever. Okay. So we're going to measure that. And the same goes, I guess if you eat other nut butters like almond butter, this is the same concept. Okay. Nutella is kind of the same thing if you're measuring that out. But the first way, and probably the most common way, is to get a rubber scraper like this one. And I've got a bunch of these, but I picked out the skinniest one I had. And then you've got a measuring cup, and you're just going to scoop it out, and you're going to spread it in there just like that. And you just keep going, scooping, spreading, and you're kind of pushing it in because we don't want any air pockets in the bottom. Okay. If you had an air pocket in the bottom, you would have less peanut butter than what your recipe called for, correct? And then we're just smoothing off the top. See how smooth that is? Pretty neat for such a messy product, right? And then to put it into, was somebody gonna say something? Okay. And then to put it into your bowl or whatever you're making, you scoop it out to where it's mostly clean. And then it goes into your bowl. Let's pretend this is my bowl and I'm making cookies. Okay. So that's how you do it. Scoop it in, get rid of the air pockets by pushing down on the peanut butter, and then scoop it out and put it in. Okay. The next way to do this.
Which measuring cup is it?
Well, I was just showing some examples.
Like 1/4?
You could try it with 1/4. That's great. But right now we're not making what? So right now I'm just showing you some examples of how to measure certain products, and we're going to get to our recipe in just a second. Okay. So I just grabbed the first one I had. All right. So the other, I love kitchen gadgets, y'all. And I have these little, they're called punch cups. And basically, if you turn them one way, do you see the little spouts on them? If you use them this way, you have the measures on the side and you can measure a liquid. And if you flip them the other way and push them down, you can measure a solid, like peanut butter. Sometimes I even measure like pumpkin in these, like pumpkin puree. So I'm going to use the little one, and all you do, if y'all have one of these, they're awesome. And if you don't have one, you might buy one for your mom for Christmas. It's really cool. Okay. She would love it if she bakes a lot. So you basically push it up or down to whatever measure you want. Okay. I'm going to do just a little bit just to show you. And again, we're scooping and we're just scraping that in there. Okay. And I have it just like the other one, but this time, watch. We're going to just punch it, and the peanut butter just kind of falls out of there and scrapes off. And then you have hardly any mess. So these are kind of neat. Okay. And then the other way that you can measure peanut butter or any solid, any nut butter, any Nutella, any sort of shortening, if you're scooping out shortening out of a container, you can do it this way. But this is called the water displacement method. So basically, I got a clear measuring bowl, okay, and I put water in it to 2 cups. Okay, if I need a half a cup of peanut butter, what's 2 cups plus 1/2 cup? Does anybody know? Emily knows. Yes, ma'am.
1/3?
Well, it would be 2.5.
2.5 cups.
So if I've got 2 cups of water in here and I need a half a cup of peanut butter, then I'm going to scoop peanut butter out into the water. Okay. And the water does not affect the peanut butter because oil and water don't mix, and there's a lot of oil in peanut butter. And so then I'm basically just going to scoop the peanut butter into the water until it rises to 2.5 cups. And then I know I have a half a cup of peanut butter. So that's the water displacement method. And then, of course, the peanut butter will be a little bit wet, but it doesn't affect it. Like I said, And you can use just a slotted spoon and pull the peanut butter out and then add it to whatever you're making. Okay, so that's the water displacement method. All right, I'm stacking up my dirty dishes in my sink as I go here. The other thing that we use a lot in baking and cooking is this. The best invention ever. It's butter. And what's cool about measuring butter is that on the side of the wrapper, it tells me everything I need to know. 1 tablespoon, hang on, this is backwards for me. 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons, 3 tablespoons, all the way to 8 tablespoons. Okay. And it also tells me that half of it is a 1/4 cup. The whole stick is 1/2 cup. So how do I get this butter out? Well, you're going to use a paring knife, just like this one. Just like I think last week I had a purple one. It's a small knife, and remember, you're holding it in your hand and pushing your index finger down on the top for a little bit of pressure. And basically, you find. Hang on, just a second. Okay, I had to move more stuff out of my way. But basically you find how many tablespoons that you need. So if you need 2 tablespoons, then you're going to put your knife right on top of that 2 tablespoon mark and you cut all the way through it. Okay. Now, if your butter is a little bit soft, it's going to kind of mush out. So you need to unwrap it first, and you can kind of go through and scrape it away from the rest of the stick of butter. Let's see. Oh, the same goes for measuring shortening. Now, a lot of times shortening or Crisco comes in a big canister and you scoop it out, but I like these sticks. And we only use it for like 1 cookie recipe that we have, but I have it. And again, it's got the measures right here on the package for you. And shortening is soft. It won't be hard like a cold stick of butter. So you will have to open it and scrape it out based on the package. Okay. All right. So that's peanut butter, butter, and shortening. So let's talk about brown sugar now. All right, so I keep mine in a canister, and we want to make sure, fix my phone a little lower. Whoops, there we go. All right, so when you measure brown sugar, you're going to scoop it into, and you know, brown sugar comes in a bag, like a big Ziploc bag, usually sometimes in a box. But I like it in the container, okay? And the reason is when you measure brown sugar, it has to be packed in there, okay? So you can take your measuring cup and just pull it up against the side and push it against it, and it will pack all of that sugar, okay? So when I turn this out, I'm gonna put my cutting board on top so you can see, but when I turn it out, do you see that? It should keep its shape. All right. So that means it was packed just right. It's perfect, right? And the same goes if you even just need like a tablespoon of brown sugar. You're going to put it in there and pack it against the side. And then when you turn it out, you'll have a little pat. Okay. If you keep it in the Ziploc bag that it came in, that's fine too. But when you scoop it, put your hand against the bag and just push it against, and then you'll have your packed brown sugar. Okay. All right. I'm going to scoop this back into my container so I can use it later. Okay. And now let's talk about, we're going to do flour and sugar now. So let's talk about that. Hold that thought. Good boy. Our back door is right by where I'm cooking, and I had to let my dog in. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's do flour and sugar. So I keep mine in a canister like this on my counter. And let's say that this is the bowl I'm cooking or adding my ingredients to. I feel like I'm very crooked.
Should leave?
Okay, are we back? Uh-oh, what happened? Okay, I think I got disconnected. Okay, are y'all there? I can't see anybody but me. Are y'all there?
Hey, Gretchen, can you hear me? Uh-oh, she's gone again.
I think I got disconnected. Okay, now we're back. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Are we all here? Okay, good. I think it was me. I think it was my Wi-Fi, and I turned it off and went to cellular. So, see. Okay, so let's start that one over. Okay, so like I said, it's very tempting to dip in and just have it, but we're going to use our spoon, scoop it lightly into our measuring cup. And then you can do it like a heaping teaspoon or a heaping cup at first, but your recipe will want it to be an exact cup. So what I do is turn my spoon around then and use the handle of the spoon and scrape it off. And then look at that. We've got an exact measure. Okay. And then it can go into your container for your recipe. Okay. So remember not to just scoop it out of the container. And then we're going to do sugar. And sugar's probably the easiest one because we can dip in there. Again, once you dip in, you're going to have kind of a heaping scoop there. So we're going to take our spoon handle, scrape it off, and you can even scrape it back this way to double check. But now we've got our sugar. Okay. Sometimes you'll see a recipe that does call, and it might say like a heaping tablespoon. And if that's the case, it's going to look like this. And I'm spilling sugar everywhere. But if it's if it doesn't say heaping, that means you really need to scrape it off and have it where it's just even. See how it's just flush with the rim of the tablespoon? Okay. All right. Is everybody awake and with me? Y'all are quiet this morning. Got some thumbs. I see 2 thumbs up. All right. All right. So let's start cooking. Are y'all ready? Okay. So I'm going to move my camera over to my stovetop. because we are going to, last week we put everything, can y'all see me okay? Yeah, we're good. Last week we put everything in the oven, and this week we're going to cook right here on top of the stove. Okay, and we're making granola bars, and these are pretty handy. You can take them in your lunch or eat them as a snack. So the first thing we're going to do is, I'm gonna get my butter. Sorry, my butter was on the other side of the kitchen, so I had to grab that. So, all right, so the first thing that we're gonna do on our recipe is what? And I told you this last week when we talked about rules for the kitchen. When you get ready to cook, what's the first thing you do?
Wash your hands.
Yes, that's
Wash your
right.
hands.
So everybody, are your hands clean already? Okay. Take your time if you need to wash them. I'm gonna wash mine. All right. Clean hands. The next thing we're gonna do after we have clean hands is what?
Roll up our sleeves.
Roll up your sleeves. Oh, you very good. And then we're gonna make sure we have all of our ingredients out, right? Okay, and Gold, this recipe, you know what my favorite thing about it was? I had everything in my pantry. That's always exciting if I don't have to go to the store to buy something special. So I like this one. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is grease our pan. I have an 8x8. This is just a square pan. Last week we used a muffin pan, and now we're going to more of a casserole dish. So spray that. And I usually spray mine over the sink. I don't know if we talked about that last week, but you really don't want that spray on your floor because somebody would slip. Okay. So then what we're going to do is we're going to start adding ingredients to our pot on the stove. Okay. So I'm going to turn mine on low. And then you're going to touch your butter. Actually, you know what? Let's add everything first before we get our pots going, because it might take us a second to talk through this. Okay. So let's see. How many tablespoons of butter do we need?
3.
3. All right. So you can find 3 tablespoons on your on your stick of butter. And I just cut mine. I'm going to unwrap it, and it's going right into my pot. Okay. And y'all, if I go too fast, y'all just tell me to hold up. Okay.
3 tablespoons?
Yes, your part. Look, double check right here.
Okay. 3
1,
tablespoons.
2, 3.
All right.
So you put them in the pan?
That's right. That's right, Asen. Jacob, you got your butter in your pan? Emily? Awesome. Okay, so now you can turn the heat on, and we're going to let that butter start melting, okay? And I'm just going to use a wooden spoon to stir this. Okay, and you want to keep your eye on it because we don't want it to burn. Say that again. Okay. All right, so our butter's going. And if you want to, I just put the 3 tablespoons in as like one big chunk. But if you want it to melt faster, you could cut it up even more. But I think this is going to go quick. Okay. All right, so while that's melting, we're going to be thinking ahead. And our next Our next step is going to be to add 1/3 cup of brown sugar. Okay.
Medium heat, Jason?
It's medium heat.
Yes, I'm doing
Burner am I
medium
using?
heat. It's going pretty fast.
Find it on there.
And y'all may have noticed,
What
like
color?
every
There you go.
stovetop
And you press
seems to be a little bit different. This burner
Careful.
I'm
Remember,
using
if you
is
press
really,
down, medium
it's
heat
always
would probably be
hotter than it says.
maybe a 4. Okay.
Okay.
See how it looks here?
Oh, cool.
So pay attention. I
Okay.
think she said brown sugar.
Yeah, just thinking ahead to brown
I
sugar.
put the butter.
Okay, is it, Asen, is it melting? Mine is almost
That is.
melted. Like, okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and measure out that 1/3 cup of brown sugar, and I'm gonna throw that in. And remember, we're packing it against the side of the container to where we have a, I'm gonna, look, it's so packed I can even hold it in my hands like that, okay? So the brown sugar's going in.
Put it in there. No.
Things are about to start smelling really good in your kitchen. Okay, brown sugar's in, and then we're gonna add the honey.
Brown sugar has half.
1/4 cup of honey. I gotta find my 1/4 cup. Let's see. I've got measuring cups everywhere. Okay, I'm gonna. Now, when you measure the honey, it's gonna be kind of like when you measured the peanut butter. If you need to put it into a measuring cup, I pre-measured mine, so I'm just kind of throwing it in. Okay, you know what? I've got to switch burners because this one is just not working right. It's way too hot. Okay, so I'm going to back up a little bit.
I'm gonna add my honey.
Oh, I think Santa Claus needs to bring me a new oven.
Can I add my honey?
So, yes, add the honey. All right. All right, okay, I think Jacob is at his stovetop, so is everything going good, Carrie? Okay, she says, hold up. So we've got our butter, our brown sugar, and our honey in. And the next thing is going to be our vanilla. So let me make sure everybody's caught
I'm gonna
up.
mix it.
Turn that down. It should be bubbling just a little bit. Does it smell good, y'all?
Yeah, Chico does. Okay, vanilla. Where's my vanilla? 1 teaspoon.
Okay. Why don't y'all give me a thumbs up if you're ready for vanilla? If you're ready for the next thing.
Is this the teaspoon?
Oh, man. Well, yeah, I guess
Is it teaspoon TBSP?
That is, Asen, that's a tablespoon. So that's way too big. You need to find the one that says TSP.
1 TSP right.
Perfect. That is such a good question. Although a tablespoon of vanilla sounds really good because I love vanilla. But you're going to take your teaspoon, pour it in.
This is a teaspoon.
Okay. And then it goes in the pot with everything else. And you may get a little more bubbling once you throw that in there. Okay. Then we're going to whisk until you feel like all that sugar is dissolved. And that just means it won't have that grainy feeling. So when you push the spoon in the pot. It may sound kind of gritty. Okay, and it'll go quick. Mine's already done. So I'm going to take mine off.
Just stir mine.
You're still stirring. Okay. Okay, and then after you add that vanilla and stir to get all that sugar dissolved, take it off the heat, and you're going to pour in 3 cups of oats. And these are the quick cooking rolled oats. And I've really had a lot of good luck with this recipe with just doing any kind of oats that I had in my pantry, y'all. Okay, so
Wait,
now
where do we pour the oat?
okay, so is your pan off the heat now?
No. Okay, I'll take it off the heat.
Yeah, it's okay. So as soon as your sugar's not gritty feeling anymore, like it's all dissolved, you can take it off the heat and pour your oats in. And then once you pour the oats in, y'all, you gotta stir, 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 stir.
Oh,
Because we want them all coated with that yummy sugar mixture.
Careful, because make sure this is hot, but don't put it on there, okay? Okay, grab the handle too, okay? Oops, you need to turn your burner off.
And at first, you're gonna think there wasn't enough of that of the sugar mixture, but if you keep stirring, it will all get coated.
Here's my cup.
Stir, 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 stir.
I need more cup.
Okay, so I'm gonna check in with everybody. Emily and Kim, how's it going? Thumbs up. Asen, Leah, y'all good?
Yeah, we're still doing it.
Oh, there you
Still pouring
go.
the
Okay,
oats.
good. And I think Jacob is still stirring. And I'm stirring my oats still.
Which ones? These ones? Okay, just finished my oats.
Awesome. So now you're going to take a wooden spoon and start stirring.
Okay.
And at first, like I said, it's going to look really dry. It's going to look real oaty. Like you're going to think, oh, there's not enough sugar and butter in here, but keep stirring. That's why the recipe stirs for like 5 minutes. Okay. It didn't quite take 5 minutes for me.
So I guess
All right, is
when
every-
people make when people make granola bars, I guess this is how they make it stick to everything.
That's right. You've got to have something ooey gooey to make it bind together. And we put enough ooey gooey in, right? We put butter, brown sugar, and honey in there. And then the vanilla is going to be for taste. Okay, are they looking good, y'all? Jacob, are you stirring? Yes, okay. Okay, I'm trying to peek at whatever. Okay. All right, Asen. Hey, you want to go outside? Want to go outside? Come on. Okay. Are your oats looking pretty coated now?
Yep.
Okay. The sauce should be all over every oat. And then what you're going to do is you're going to get your pan and you're going to dump the whole pot very carefully into the pan.
So, okay, so pour this. So pour the oat into this pan.
Yes, the one that you sprayed at the very beginning, you're going to pour all your oats into that pan. And then the recipe says that you can use your hands to kind of press it down, but I still feel like it's a little bit hot. So I'm just going to use the back of my wooden spoon that I was stirring with, and I'm going to press it down with that. And you want them really pretty packed in there. If you do want to use your hands, you can actually put a little bit of butter on them so the mixture doesn't stick, or you could spray your hands with your pan spray. And actually, now that I'm using my wooden spoon, I think I am going to try my fingers. So I just sprayed like one hand with that stuff, and then you can kind of rub it together. And then you've got kind of like when you make Rice Krispies, or exactly like when you make Rice Krispies. All right, so you're going to really push them in.
You just push it all down?
Yeah. Make it super
Just push it all
flat and
down?
we want all those oats to really stick together in the pan so they're not crumbly. I'm also thinking a spatula that's sprayed with pan or a rubber scraper would work really good too. That's a little bit of work, isn't it?
I just found out a new way. If the oat is still sticking to your hand, just rub your hands together, and it'll eventually fall out.
Oh, that's very smart.
No, the rest.
Okay, how's it looking, y'all? I'm gonna hold mine up to the camera. Can y'all see what mine looks like? Oh, they're sliding out.
Oh yeah, that's exactly
It should be
what
one
mine looks
huge
like.
piece. Okay, perfect. Jacob, how's yours looking? Awesome, look at that. And Emily? Did it go pretty good, Emily? Awesome. Okay, now the fun part. We are going to put chocolate chips into the top, and basically it's just a 1/4 cup, so it's not many, just enough to get a sweet bite. Oh, you're excited. And you're going to press them into the top. Now, I had a little inspiration late last night, and I realized, look what I have. I thought of this about 9 o'clock last night. I had a package of M&Ms. So I pulled out all the orange and yellow and brown, the fall colors, and I'm going to put those on the top of mine. And then I even saved the red and green ones. So in December, I can make this again with red and green. So you're just going to push those into
my mom said.
What'd your mom say?
Also, my mom said that I can like make it a bit spooky with like sprinkles
Oh, fun.
on it, like a Halloween sprinkles.
The Jimmy.
That is fun.
Are these easy? Yeah, these are easy.
And then remember, if you use sprinkles or M&Ms or something, then you can change this recipe up for every holiday, right? Actually, I think I'm just gonna use M&Ms. I mean, we're going all out today, right? Okay, when you get the sprinkles done, I want to see that one.
Yeah. For the sprinkles out anyway.
Oh, that looks good. Good job.
Yeah, that might be too many M&Ms.
That's all.
Do you want to do these?
No thanks. No thanks. Actually, I'll do a little bit.
Yeah, here you go. Here, we can move the pan closer to you. Now, the further back is the better. You get more.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Do it at an angle.
And you're shaking.
Yeah, that's enough.
Okay, so here's mine.
So press it down more.
Get your
I'm
spatula.
gonna mix it again. I'm gonna mix it. and
I think you press it, right? Because it said right here.
Yeah, but I want to mix it so it's like
It says
everywhere.
press and.
I want to mix it so it's everywhere.
Good job.
No.
I know.
Oh, that's
I don't think that.
It would do well.
I don't think it would do well.
Mason. I think if you want the sprinkles to be throughout the whole mixture, you should put them in when you add the oats, and then they'll get everywhere. So I don't know if you can get them down in there now. Just something to think about. I'm having to kind of squish my M&Ms down in there, but it looks so good, right? This might be a staple in our house now. Okay, so it seems like you would want to put this in the oven, but it's really going to go in the refrigerator. And I'm just going to cover mine with a little bit of plastic wrap that I already pulled out of the package. And then does anybody know, have y'all read ahead to see how long this goes in the, oh, Emily, that looks so good.
Are you sure?
Awesome. Good job. So how long does this go in the refrigerator?
1 hour.
1 hour. Okay, so I'm gonna go
About
stick
1
mine in my
hour.
fridge and I'll be right back.
Across the blade. And in theory, cuts it, although nobody likes plastic wrap. It never works right. It's
Okay, so it's about almost 9:45. So at 10:45, you'll be able to get those out of the fridge. And
look,
This is what mine looks like.
it's
It is.
awesome. That looks great.
That's how it goes.
So in about an hour, you can take them out. If you want to, you can cut them right into the pan, or you can flip them out onto a cutting board and cut them. And it does make 12 bars. So I know third graders are learning about multiplication. So you could do one side in rows of 4 and the other side in rows of 3, because 4 times 3 equals, I'm pointing at you, Emily.
12.
That's right. That's right. Third grade in Blanco has been doing a lot of multiplication
12.
facts lately. So if you think you're not going to use math, when you get big,
I already
you
know
always
division.
use it while you're cooking. What, Asen?
I already know division too. I already know
Awesome.
division too.
All right.
Well, I'm still kind of learning about it, but still it's good.
Nice. When you're ready, are you ready to put it in?
Yeah, I need to steal it.
Okay, so now that we're done, we're going to wrap up. And I always want to remind y'all that what we're cooking can have different variations. So last week we made the quiche and we put ham in it. We talked about maybe putting turkey or bacon in it or some other vegetables. What could we do different? And we've actually kind of covered this a little bit. What could we make different in these granola bars? What could we add?
Miss Gretchen,
Yes.
do I put it in the fridge or the freezer?
Put it in the refrigerator.
Okay.
tell her what you did yours.
Right? Now I'm checking my recipe. Yes, refrigerator. So I did a variation with the M&Ms and Asen did the sprinkles. But do any of y'all like raisins? Would you put raisins in your granola bars? Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do not like raisins very much, but you know what I do like is craisins, those dried cranberries. I think that would be delicious in this. I also thought about putting coconut in it. I made a little list here. Coconut, dried cranberries. What about dried apricots? Are y'all into that? I think I'd like to try it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that one. And also instead of the chocolate chips, I think butterscotch chips would be good. You can also buy peanut butter chips. You could even add some Rice Krispie cereal in there too, or some different cereals. All right, and then our last thing I was going to tell you about is a little bit about utensils. And I have so many. I love a kitchen store. I love picking up new things. And my dad actually got me this book, and I think it's out of print, but it's called Kitchenware. And it's got descriptions and pictures of all kinds of kitchenware, even stuff from different countries, not just the United States. So I love this book. And what I love in this book is at the very beginning, it talks about how, yes. Oh, I thought somebody said my name. Okay. So you get a recipe, right? And it tells you you need a 1/4 cup of peanut butter, but the recipe doesn't tell you anything about what utensil to use or anything. So it's important to learn how all these things work, right? I also think that I wanted to ask y'all, and I was going to ask you this last week and we ran out of time, but what is your favorite utensil in the kitchen? Let's start with Emily. What do you like to use the most when you're cooking?
Measuring cups.
Measuring cups. You cannot do anything without those, right? And measuring cups we have to use to cook dinner and to bake a cake. So they're kind of a necessity, right? Asen, what's your favorite utensil?
Knife.
A knife. We cannot get by without a knife, right? We've got to be able to cut meat and potato. Be careful with that knife. I'm watching you. There you go. We've got to have a knife, a good, sharp, safe knife. And Jacob, what about you? Do you have a favorite utensil? Okay, you're on mute, honey, but I see knives.
They're kitchen scissors.
Oh, they're scissors. Y'all know what? I have kitchen scissors too. And they're real nice. You could even chop up vegetables with them, cut things up like that. They're very handy. And I have a pair that's just for food. They're not for crafts or quilting or sewing or anything. So this book said that there's. Oh, you got a pair too. Okay. All right. So this book said there's really 3 that are the most important. And the first one is a good chef's knife. Okay. So we've got that knife. The second one is this. What is this called?
Whisk.
A whisk. And the third thing, very good. The third thing are these 2 things. Your hands. We cannot cook without our hands. And that's why they have to be clean all the time. All right. I touched the food I just made by pressing all that oatmeal into the pan, but they were clean. So it's okay. So don't forget about those clean hands. So right now I'm going to look up, I have it pre-picked out, and I'm going to describe something out of this book that I'm pretty sure you have in your kitchen, and we're going to see who can find it or guess what it is. So here's our description. Are you ready? We lost. He's back. Okay. This thing is flat. Sometimes it's round. Sometimes it's square. Mine's actually rectangle. And it's made of thin wires that are spread apart. What'd you pick? Did you already pick something? Let me see. No, she picked a cutting board. That is
Spatula?
definitely
A spatula?
No,
Spatula?
let me keep going. It's got little feet on it that suspends it off the countertop. Sometimes it's made out of stainless steel. Sometimes they're black
Cutting board?
because they're,
Cutting board?
say it again. Nope, not a cutting board.
Cutting board?
This item is used for baked goods that have just come out of the oven. Oh, Jacob, you got it. It's a cooling rack. Excuse me. So we can put cookies, muffins, cakes on it. A cooling rack. And it, because it's got the little feet on it, it allows air to kind of circulate around and cool it off. So those are pretty handy. I have 3 of them. And yesterday I was making cookies for Halloween and I thought I really needed a couple more of those things. So, all right, it's 9:51 and we are going to adjourn. And Jacob, I'm going to send you a prize in the mail for getting that right. Okay. So I'm just going to stick it in the mail and then we have no contact. Okay. I will see y'all next week. All right. Y'all have a great Halloween. Y'all be safe and have a lot of fun. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Happy
Bye
Halloween.
bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
You're welcome.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.